So welcome everybody to today's QAW Invited Talk series. This is the third or the fourth in this series, and today's invited speaker is my good friend Mandar Kelkar. And today's subject matter is slightly technical. So those who have come here probably are kind of technically oriented, or trying to understand philosophy rationally. That kind of a mindset, hopefully. And Mandar is known to have created content which is of use or of interest to a general audience who are not only pre-oriented in, let's say, technical philosophy, but or technical, let's say, Hindu philosophy, but philosophy in general. So I think it will be interesting today to listen to him. So first of all, before I introduce the topic, I would like to invite Amit Mahajan to first introduce the question a week, the QAW forum, to all the people who have arrived here. So Amit, over to you.
Yeah, hi. So QAW, Question a Week Forum, invites uncompromising self-inquiry. Each week, we discuss and share experiences about QAW verticals or horizontals, answered in your own words to gain clarity that reshapes life. What are the pillars of QAW? Fictitious I to PVM. It returns, sorry, let me just turn some lighting on. Okay. Return from the inherited persona to the physical, vital, mental integration, the true unit of existence. Sanskriti and identity, Vyaktitva. Personal clarity linked with civilizational strength, identity as unique expression aligned with the civilizational state of Bharat and its inheritance. Pain navigation to Samatva to action. Pain as the engine of growth, equanimity leading to evolution centric action. What QAW provides? A reconnecting framework that links the modern Bharatiya with the timeless and crucially evolutionary flow of knowledge and power. An integrated philosophy platform with living verticals, Utsav rhythms, evolution through streams, Andaman cellular jail narratives, inspired poetic forms, cross questioning debates, modern evidence across chronology, linguistics, navigation, geopolitics, geoeconomics, and technology, and a proposal for 100 Bharatiya civilizational flashpoint memorials of international standard. A modern execution framework for self mastery, materials and guidelines to help Bharatiyas weather the identity struggle. Language commitment, ongoing work in Marathi, Malayalam, and Hindi. How the forum works. One topic a week, answer from lived experience. Your words only, clarity over jargon. From self to civilization, map PVM to identity to action. The outcome, realize identity, befriend pain, and arc for evolution, aligning personal mastery with a timeless arc of Sanskriti. The invited talks. These talks have a twofold objective: to observe the derived general principles of QAW in manifestation or Vidya of the invited specialists, and to create a platform for our respected specialists to express the generality of philosophy, spirituality, and civilization hidden deep in their Vidya. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. I next invite Hiren to introduce our invited guest today. Hiren.
Hi, everyone. Mandarji, first of all, thank you for making time to come here.
Thank you, my
Let's know
pleasure.
more about Mandar. So Mandar Kelkar is an IT professional with over 30 years of industry experience. He's currently serving as the director of Netcracker Technology Solutions in Pune. He lives with his wife Suhas, who's been his partner throughout the spiritual journey that we'll just listen to, and their two children, who are both pursuing their professional and academic careers. Mandar's been an avid reader since childhood, who explored diverse literature. His early exposure to Gita chanting and Sanskrit in school laid a strong foundation that eventually drew him to a deeper spiritual quest. Mandar changed in 2003 when a friend invited him to informal sessions on Bhagavad Gita, led by one of his senior colleagues, Sri Uday Karanskar. These sessions opened his eyes to fundamental questions he'd never contemplated. What is the purpose of life? What happens beyond career success? What constitutes right action? Does Ishwar exist? And if so, how do we reconcile divine omniscience and benevolence with life's contradictions? Though not a dramatic turning point at this time, these sessions definitely awakened a dormant interest that would reshape his life. Mandar actually soon began studying Advaita Vedanta from here, this philosophical tradition that was rooted in Prasthantiri, Gita, Upanishads, and Brahma Sutras. Initially through books and then lectures by Swami Dayanand Saraswati, founder of Arsh Vidya Gurukulam. What started as casual reading and discussions with Sri Udayji evolved into serious studies within the Arsha Vidya Parampara. Mandarji was blessed to receive in-person teachings on the Gita from Swami Satswarupananda Saraswati in Pune, followed by various sessions on Vedanta and meditation with Swami Shankarananda Saraswati, Swami Tadatmananda, and Swami Viditatmananda Saraswati, both at the ashrams and also online. Over the years, he has experienced clear benefits from these teachings: a deeper sense of life's larger purpose, simplified decision making, and enhanced self awareness that has helped him navigate through corporate challenges with ease. While Mandar does remain a student engaged in sadhana, he has discovered that the journey itself has become more fulfilling than any destination. Recently, he has also begun conducting informal sessions on Vedanta for friends and family, sharing this profound knowledge or a profound body of knowledge in contemporary language while connecting seekers with a timeless parampara. Again, Mandarji, welcome to QAW Forum and thank you for making time.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me, Anand,
Thank you.
and everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Hiren. So let me quickly introduce the background of today's talk in just a few words. So essentially, the Arya philosophy or the Arya Sanskriti is all about the experience of the universal principle or the cosmic supreme, as we call it. And then there are 6 systems of what they call as a Shat Darshan. Okay, so darshan is nothing but experience. So 6 ways of experiencing this cosmic supreme are proposed by various rishis, and it's a great wonder that how these rishis came out with just 6 systems, that they could classify the entire of humanity into 6 specific frameworks, whereby each framework would definitely lead up to the supreme, but in a unique way. So this is the greatness of these rishis. And so we have these 6 systems of the each darshan. So darshan word is like drashta, drushya, and darshan, right? Drashta is the viewer or the seer. The drushya is the view or the seen, and darshan is the experience or the seeing. So that is why these 6 frameworks are called 6 darshans, right? So this non-duality or the experience is actually built into all of them, into all of them. Only the methods, the ways to approach this darshan is unique, so that each class of peoples would have this access easy for them. So that is why they are derived this. So what are these 6 frameworks? They are Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva, and Uttar Mimamsa. Uttar Mimamsa is also called Vedanta. So these are these 6, and each have their own schools, their own Guru Parampara, and then there are thousands of years of literature available in this. Okay, so these, now, I don't like to call them as six systems of philosophy, which is the general translation. It's not just philosophy, it's philosophy, psychology, and practice. These are the three elements of each of these frameworks. Mere philosophy is just bookish and wordy, but psychology is complete treatment of the mind through the through the principles that are proposed in that philosophy, and further to that, how to put these principles into actual action into your daily life in various disciplines, of course, to attain darshan, mind you. So this, keep this word darshan in your mind. So it's all about darshan. Now, what is Mandar, what is today's topic about? So essentially, we have this the whole body of knowledge of the Vedic civilization, or the Arya civilization, or the Hindu civilization, as we call it, divided into three main bodies, basically the Shruti, Smriti, and the Puran, right? So, what is the Shruti? Shruti is the main text, the Samhita, the Vedic Samhita. Then there are the Brahmana, the Aranyaka, and the Upanishad. So, this forms the Shruti. Then there are the Smritis. So, Smritis are the Vedanga, Upaveda, Sutra, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha Sutras, all four sutras. Then the Itihasa, all these Mahabharata, Rama, and many other Itihasas. Then there are Bhashyas, all the Bhashyas of Shankaracharya, Bhashya, Madhvacharya, all the Bhashyas. Then there are Nibandha, Kavya, all of these form the Smritis. Okay, and then there are the 18 Mahapuranas. Now, Mahapuranas are actually very, very important because they tell you about the lived experience of the Vedic principles throughout these millennia. So Puranas are as important as the Shruti. But today's subject matter is like this, that we saw in the Uttar Mimamsa, which is the Vedanta. The Vedanta has three types: the Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, and Advaita. So these are the three sub-classifications of the Uttar Mimamsa. And today Mandar is going to take up what is called as the Advaita part of the Vedanta. And not only that, we are keen to hear how he extrapolates or sets it into understanding a particular Shruti mantra, which is the Ishavasya Upanishad, the first mantra, Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam, Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat, Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha, Ma Gridat Kasya Svidharam. So out of that, he has taken the first verse of that, the first line of the first verse, and he is going to explain how to have this Advaita Darshan of this Shruti mantra. So thank you everyone for attending once again. Over to you, Mandar. It's all yours now.
माइक म्यूट है शायद.
Okay, all good. You are able to hear me as well as you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you for the generous introduction and the overview, Anand. So, Shat Darshan itself is a big topic. So, thanks for covering it in brief for the audience. So, today's topic, right, is basically on the first half of the first verse of the Ishavasya Upanishad, and it says Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. So today's discussion, right, is going to centered on understanding what Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam means. So I will not explain what it means right away. Hopefully by the end of this session, the meaning of this verse will become clear to us. So that is the goal that we set for ourselves. And everything that I'm going to talk today and present is basically based on my learnings from my Guru Parampara, Udayji, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, and Swami Satswarupananda Saraswati, whatever I learned from them. So anything that you find useful, anything that you find good in today's sessions is all of Parampara, and any lacunae that you may find is all mine. So that's my attitude. Okay. So let me go forward. So let us do some context setting.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure that while you are sharing the screen, I'm not able to see your video. Is everybody else able to see Mandar or just
We
the
can
screen?
see.
Oh, you can see? Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Good. Okay, so just a quick 1 minute on what is Advaita Vedanta. Okay, Advaita means there are no two, there is only one. Okay. So, and Vedanta means Anta of Vedas. Typically, chronologically speaking, Vedanta basically is a body of knowledge which is based on Upanishads. And there are 100 odd Upanishads, as you may know from your readings, right? Out of which around 10 Upanishads are considered very, very important. And Ishavasya Upanishad is one of them. But all of these Upanishads are found in the end of the Veda, chronologically speaking, right? That's why it is also called as Vedanta. And there is also another meaning of Vedanta means basically it is the highest culmination of knowledge. It is the highest evolution of human thought. So that way also it is the end of Vedas, right? So that's what is Advaita Vedanta. And what does Advaita Vedanta essentially talks about? Okay, so Advaita Vedanta, and in fact, it is the same body of knowledge which is also covered in Bhagavad Gita, the one of the sacred text of India. Uh, it talks about three entities, Jiva, Jagata, and Jagadisha. So Jiva is basically individual. All of us are Jiva or Jivas. Jagata is Srishti, creation, universe, whatever you call it. And Jagadish is Ishwar, God, or any highest principle, as you may call it. So essentially, there are only three important entities that are worth knowing about, which are Jiva, Jagata, Jagadisha, and how these three entities are interrelated to each other. That is essentially a one-line statement about what is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, and all these texts which are basically in the Advaita Parampara. We are not going to talk about the Advaita part of it because it requires it requires further detailing and will require a lot of time. So today we are going to cover only one aspect of this trinity, and that is Jagadisha. So ideally, whenever I present this body of knowledge, I structure it in around 6 to 7 sessions. And we sort of go on building the story starting from Jiva, Jagata, and towards the Jagadisha. But since today's topic is mainly only on one aspect of this trinity, we are going to talk about Jagadisha. Now, because of the very nature of our talk today, there are likely to be some questions which may come up, which I may not be able to answer to your satisfaction because we have not covered the Jiva and Jagata part and their interrelationships. So that is the one small potential limitation I would like to flag off in the beginning. But if you find this interesting, if you find this worth understanding, we can perhaps do it at some other time. Then the approach, I would like to highlight a humble request to all of you for our approach to today's session. I would like to appeal you to keep aside anything and everything that you already know about this subject matter. Okay, sort of empty your cup. Okay, come up with a very, very clean slate. Give it a benefit of doubt, and while you are digesting, understanding whatever I am going to talk about, don't try to validate that. Try to only understand it, try to digest it, and of course at the end of the session maybe or later you can think about it and may or may not accept it. That's perfectly valid and acceptable, right? However, while you are in the session, try to focus it with an empty mind. So that's my small humble request to all of you. So let us do some context setting, right? uh, Anything, whenever we come across various life principles as such, right, there are two aspects to it. One is what we call as belief, and another is what we call as knowledge. So there are certain things, which we have to believe basically, and certain things that we have to really understand. So whatever we are trying to understand, we need not believe. And whatever is a matter of belief it may not be verifiable in some cases, right? For example, if someone comes and tells us that, there is something called as heaven, and uh, after if we do all good karmas, we are likely to go to heaven. And especially someone may tell us that, oh, if you listen to me, perhaps I will give you a pass to heaven. Now, this is strictly a matter of belief, right? This is a non-verifiable belief. I may believe it, I may not believe it, I may believe it half-heartedly. However, if someone tells me that there is something called as Badrinath in Himalayas, okay, then it is not a matter of belief as such, because I may accept it. However, I have every chance to actually catch a flight and go and verify whether Badrinath really exists. So basically, it is a verifiable belief. So similarly, when someone tells us 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. We learn that as a basic arithmetic in school. It is not a matter of belief. We need not believe it, right? It is a matter of knowledge and understanding. So basically, uh, typically, when people discuss the topic about Ishvara, God, destiny, and things like that, often people talk about, hey, do you believe in Ishvara or do you believe in God? Someone says, no, I don't believe, I am an agnostic. Or someone may say, maybe there is some Shakti, there is some power, but I'm not sure about it, etc. However, Vedanta's approach to this particular question is very, very unique. It says that Ishvara, and I'm going to use this word Ishvara particularly because it is a word that is from the parampara, and it is a word which is not yet abused. When you say the word God, right? God has different connotation to different people in their mind. That's why we try to avoid using the word God. But for all practical purposes, that's what I mean. But Ishvara has much more larger meaning in the parampara. That's for some other time. So the point is, Ishvara is a matter of understanding and not a matter of belief. Because if it was a matter of belief, there is no fun in it, right? If I understand what Ishvara is, then actually I can actually make use of that concept in my life. That's the point. So when I say Ishvara is a matter of understanding, what is it that I need to understand about it? So essentially, it boils down to 2 to 3 points or bullets. First, is there Ishvara really speaking? Because if there is Ishvara, then there are a host of questions that will need to be reconciled. Okay, we all know what those popular questions are. How do we reconcile the apparent apparent contradictions in the worldly affairs and things like that? So that is one set of questions people have. So first thing we need to understand, is there Ishvara? Second, what is he? He or she. First, we have to also determine, is he or she, and what is he? Suppose, right? Figuratively, we will say he for now. And where is he? So if there is someone called as Ishvara, and we understand what Ishvara is, suppose, then where does Ishvara reside? These are the 3 points that we need to understand to be able to say that, okay, I understand what Ishvara is. Okay, so that is the subject matter for today's session. So I take a half a minute pause here and see that, is this resonating with you and is it okay? So we can move ahead. So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to change the direction of this talk. Okay, I'm going to make it slightly funny by picking up some examples from our real life. Okay, so for example, you see this Swiss watch here, right? Now suppose Anand comes my home, on a Sunday morning for a cup of tea, and he happened to see this nice, shiny new Swiss watch on my table, and he comes to ask me, "Hey, where did you get it from?" I'm in a jovial mood, and I ask him, "You know what? Last week I was on a business trip to Switzerland, and there is this spring which keeps on, uh, just like the springs in Himalaya, water springs. There is this spring in Swiss Alps region which keeps on popping nice Swiss watches. So I picked up one, and I of course paid for it and brought it back. Now Anant will start wondering about my mental health, right? He will not agree. No one will agree that a Swiss watch, which is a nice, shiny, refined creation, which has so much of mechanics and physics and solid state electronics behind it, how can it simply pop out of a spring? Not acceptable, right? We will leave it here. I'm just trying to build a small story here. So let us move forward. I'm sure all of you have seen this. Do you recognize what this is? It is a weaver bird nest, right? So somewhere around Pune or any countryside, right, where you go, you would find this weaver bird nest hanging on the trees, right? They are very intricate and delicate and superb architectural creations, so to say, right? If you ever notice a weaver bird actually sort of designing and building and constructing this nice little creation of his, it's a marvel to watch, right? He has a precise knowledge of what sort of material he will need to use. He uses grass strands, then feathers, then the dry leaves, and anything and everything that he finds on the table, puts it together in a brilliant architecture, so to say, all alone by himself. And the nest is built so beautifully that it has a nice little opening at the bottom, but the opening is structured in such a way that only the weavered bird mother and the father can go inside. No other predator, no other big bird can enter the nest. And it has a little valley, so to say, at the bottom, and so that the baby weaver bird, once he or she is born, can rest nicely in a cozy atmosphere in that nest, right? It's such a brilliant creation. Now it needs tremendous amount of knowledge to be able to design that, to construct it. It knows exactly what materials I need to use in what order, and how do I construct it, how do I hang it on the branch of the tree. It's a brilliant creation. I hope you admire and appreciate the creation that it is, right? So let us move forward. I'm sure you recognize what this is, right? This is a honeycomb. Now, this is again a engineering marvel, so to say, right? All these tiny honeybees, who are sort of hundreds or thousands in a group, they come together. We don't know how they speak to each other. We don't know where do they draw their blueprint of this architecture. How do they sort of convey the construction project plan with each other. And but somehow it just comes up in 1 or 2 months, and it hangs on a branch of tree, and hangs so beautifully that it doesn't fall down. It can withstand the strong winds flowing, and it can even withstand small light rain. And it has hexagonal shapes, so to say, a huge construction with small rooms, and there is a special bedroom reserved for the queen bee. The rooms are equipped in such a way that they can hold the honey. At the same time, they provide a cozy little room for the bees to stay around. It's a brilliant, absolutely brilliant structure. I hope if you have ever studied it, you would appreciate what I mean. Okay, so let us move forward. I hope some of you are trying to get a clue of what I'm trying to build. Now, this is again a human eye, as you can easily recognize. It is again a absolutely brilliant creation. So when I use the word creation, what I mean is that it is something which is intelligently put together. All these structures, for example, right? They are intelligently put together. There is a entity who knows what the purpose of that creation is, has the understanding, knows what the material could be, and has a blueprint of that creation in his or her mind, right? So this particular creation, if you allow me to use that word for a human eye, is absolutely brilliant. If you sort of talk to all the ophthalmologists in the world today and ask them a question that, hey, do you know everything and anything about human eye? They will say humbly that we know enough. We know enough to treat it for all the basic problems. But you know what? The moment we say that we know something, there is so much more that we don't know about. Right? I hope all of you recognize this nice little, most aboriginal pump that humankind has come to know about, right? Human heart. Now, this human heart is starts pumping when we are born, right? And if a human being lives for 70, 80, 90, 100, 120 years sometimes, right? It just keeps on pumping. Now, if I ask you, right? If I ask you to hold your fist like this, open it, close it, open it, close it, and do it for 2 hours. Suppose I give you a challenge. You will do it for 2 minutes and you will say, hey, Mandar, let us go for a cup of coffee. You can't do it. Right now, this pump, right, is doing it day in, day out, 24/7, 365 days a year, year after year. It stops only when it's time to go. And it is built in such a way that it's a huge muscle, right? It has compartments. It pumps the blood to all the organs in the body, but heart being an organ by itself, it also needs blood. And the structure is such a way that it doesn't need another heart to pump blood to this heart. This heart is self-sufficient to pump the blood to itself, as well as pump the blood to all the organs of the human body. Amazing architecture, very very intricate, very very structured, and it just keeps functioning. Not just keep functioning, it also has something called as self-healing and self-correcting and monitoring mechanisms. Those of you who are in IT would understand what I mean by it, right? You build systems which are self-correcting, self-healing, and self-monitoring. So heart knows that a artery has developed a blockage, and it has an intelligence to route the blood from some other arteries or from other routes, and still so that it continues to function. So such a brilliance is built into this heart. Now let us shift our attention to something which is a macrocosm. You see this structure here, right? It's sort of a model of our universe. So you see the sun in the center, and the earth going around it, and at the same time the earth is also going around itself at a particular angle, and there is also an angle at which it is going around the sun, and the angle is just enough so that it doesn't fall and collapse into the sun, and just enough that it doesn't leave the orbit and goes into ever expanding universe and in the oblivion. So the angle is very meticulously arrived at. The radius, the circumference, and everything is so meticulously arrived at that there is winter, there is summer, there is spring, there is autumn. There is day and there is night. And this is going on for billions of years, and it will go on for millions of years. There is, all I'm trying to highlight is there is so much of knowledge. There is so much of understanding. There is so much of structure and brilliance that has gone into setting up this whole system. Right? Now, let us look at a macrocosm example of the same universe, so to say. If you break an atom, it will look like something like this, right? You have a nucleus at the center. You have these proton, neutrons, electrons all going around the nucleus at a definitive speed, in a certain angle, at a certain orbit, and things like that. Again, they are the velocity and angle and everything is adjusted in such a way that the electron doesn't go and collapse in the nucleus. Also, it doesn't escape the orbit. Again, for such a system to work cohesively, there is so much of brilliance, so much of understanding, so much of knowledge that is needed for this system to work. Now, I will take a pause here, and I want to make sure that if whatever I have spoken so far resonates with you, and there is merit in what I have just explained.
Yes.
Definitely,
So
Mandar. Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
No, no.
Aditya.
So I'm just trying to say that all these examples.
Do you mind? Can you speak little loudly?
Oh,
Aditya, speak louder.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I see what you're here. What you're trying to say is that all these examples prove the existence of some entity which is controlling all these microcosms and macrocosms and putting them, making sure that they are all functioning in order without disturbing the balance.
Mhm. Yes, let us see. Let us see. We go there. You are sort of getting a clue from whatever I have talked about. Yes, correct. Okay. So with your permission, I move forward. Now, everything that we talked about so far, all these models and examples that we took, basically we can call it as a creation. Now, what is a creation? Creation is something which is intelligently put together. There is an intelligence involved in its putting together. It serves a purpose. There is, for example, a human eye, heart, right, honeycomb. All of them serve a purpose. So it is intelligently put together. It serves a purpose, and there is knowledge required to put it together. So that is something what we can call or refer to as a creation, right? Now, interestingly, if we move forward on this logical track, you know, a creation always presupposes a creator. For example, recall the story that I told Anand right at the beginning. I tell him that I just these Swiss watches just pop off from the ground. He looks at me with suspicion, right? Why does he look at me with suspicion? Because just a fact that there is something called a Swiss watch. That means even if I do not know who has produced it, there has to be someone who knows what its purpose, how to make it, has access to a resource set of resources, and has an engineering discipline to put it together. Right? So the fundamental principle that Advaita Vedanta, for that matter, Gita and Upanishad put forward is that every creation presupposes a creator. We can't defeat that statement. I'm trying to defeat that statement for last 30 years, but not able to do that yet. Right? Now, interestingly, a creator must possess three or four things. What are those? For a creator to create anything, it must have knowledge to create. Basic logical conclusion, right? It must have knowledge to create something. It must have skill to create it. Now, what is a skill? Skill is applied knowledge. So, I may know exactly how swimming can be done or cycling can be done, but unless I actually go and jump in the water, I'm not able to learn or apply this knowledge. So, skill is applied knowledge, right? So, the creator must have knowledge, creator must have skill. Now it must have will to create it. I may have knowledge, I may have skill, but I may not have will. I may be just, have a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill, but I'm a couch potato and don't really have a drive or a will to create something. And last but not the least, I must have the material to create something. Right? Without material, my knowledge, my skill, and my will is not going to really produce anything. So far, so good. Logical, right? Now, interestingly, further logical conclusion again is knowledge can only reside in a conscious being. For example, there is a roadside rock, and I can't expect a roadside rock to know how to produce something, how to prepare something. Not possible. Why it is not possible? Because it is not a conscious entity. So for knowledge to reside, the entity must be conscious. Correct? Again, everything what I'm talking about is using our own common sense and our own experiences of life. There is nothing radically different or something which doesn't resonate with our life's experiences. Right? So knowledge can reside only in a conscious being. Now, the cosmic creation establishes that there is a cosmic creator, a cosmic conscious being. And that cosmic conscious being or creator is called as Ishvara in the parlance of Advaita Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, and in fact Indian Jnana Parampara. Ishvara means the someone who lords over. Okay, in literal means it lords over everything. Now every creation, we know that the creation, this universe, has two aspects. One is the sthula aspect, one is the subtle aspect. Sthula means gross, okay, and subtle is sukshma in Sanskrit or the Indian colloquial terms. So sthula and sukshma, or gross and subtle. So what is the gross part of the creation? We see the galaxies, the stars, the moon, the sun, the trees, the rivers, and the mountains. All of this constitute what is called as gross creation. And what is subtle creation? Subtle creations are the forces, the laws that govern this creation, keeps it operating, it keeps it switched on, so to say. You know, those laws, for example, law of gravitation, the law of karma, the law of samskara, the law of thermodynamics, the Newton's laws of motion, entropy, enthalpy, all of this is nothing but basically part of the subtle creation. Now, interestingly, if you think over, right, Newton, we say that Newton sort of invented gravitation. Okay. But if you really carefully analyze that, he did not invent gravitation. Before Newton saw the apple falling down from the tree, the apple was falling down from the tree always. Okay, it's Newton. Of course, I don't mean to put him in a spot, but Newton has the wherewithal to sit in contemplation, see that phenomena, and observe it and conclude that there must be a force that pulls the apple down, and I can actually put that force to some good use for the human beings. So he has obviously a lot of contribution, but the point I'm making is that he did not invent gravitation. Gravitation is part and parcel of the creation. Similarly, everything else. Ohm's law is part and parcel of the creation. Right? If you have observed, let me give you an analogy which our Swamiji taught us about in one of the class, right? If you have observed a baby monkey, right? A baby monkey who is born like 3 days old, right? The baby monkey holds his or her mother upside down with all the four hands so tightly that it should not fall down. Now, why does it hold it so tightly? Because the baby monkey has an understanding that if I let go of my hands of my mother, I will fall down, and that's not good for me. That means the baby monkey has an innate understanding of there is some force that will pull me down if I let go of my hands of my mother. Of course, the baby monkey doesn't know it is called as gravitation and 9.8 newtons per second squares and acceleration due to gravity and all of that. But it knows what matters. Where does this knowledge come from? Right? So that's the point I am making. So before I move forward, I want to take a pause and see if this resonates with you so far. So far, so good?
Yes, Mandar, yes.
Okay.
So,
So let us, yeah,
sorry, go ahead,
no
Anand.
problem. Go ahead.
No, so one point I want to make here is yes, I mean, we agree that there is, so what we have proven here is that nature is intelligent, right? Uh, but does that also establish the fact that just because for everything that we see inside creation, there is a creator, does it also lead to the conclusion that the nature universe also has a creator?
Yes. So when I say creation, I use the word creation to mean anything that we can objectify with our senses. Okay. Anything that we can objectify with our senses is creation. This mouse, this laptop, the people around me, including this earth, this galaxy, this entire known and unknown things is creation. what we call as universe is also can be called as a creation, right? So what we call as nature is actually, I will explain that word nature when I talk about Maya in a few slides down the line, right? So Ishvara is the cosmic conscious creator, so to say, for the entire universe, which is known and unknown to mankind at the moment. So anything that that I objectify through my senses, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, anything that I can objectify with these five Jnanendriyas is creation. Now I will talk about nature in a little while. So please park it for a few minutes.
Sure, sure.
Because that word has a technical connotation in Vedanta.
Okay.
Okay. So with your permission, I move forward. Now, again, let us extend this track of logic, further. So basically, for every creation we have seen so far, let us try to put it together differently. There is something called as an efficient cause and something called as a material cause. Right? So what is an efficient cause? Efficient cause, the technical term means nimitta karana. Something which is instrumental in making something is called as nimitta karana. The karana is instrument or cause. So efficient cause, right? For example, the one who is instrumental for something to happen is called as efficient cause. For example, a potter is the efficient cause for the creation of a pot. So someone prepares a clay pot, right? This potter is an efficient cause for the creation of a pot. Now this efficient cause, so to say, this potter has the knowledge, he has the skill, he has the will, and all of these three things, so that he applies it together, puts that clay on a wheel, and then he prepares a pot, right? So the potter is the efficient cause for the creation. Now obviously Ishvara is the efficient cause of the creation. But now a question comes to our mind that where did he get the material to create this creation? For example, this potter got the clay from a pile somewhere lying in his backyard. He collected it, then massaged it with water and prepared a pot, right? But when we talk about this vast universe, which is almost infinite, as science tells us, right? Which is ever expanding. It has infinite galaxies in it, infinite solar systems, and we are one of the solar system, and within that we are one of the small Earth, right? Where did he get the material to create this creation from? That is a logical next question in our mind. Right now, let us see how various theologies sort of approach this problem or question. Right? When I was a kid, right? Uh, uh, Suppose I would go and ask one of my senior, right? Hey, uncle, who prepared this earth, or all this everything that is around us? Then the uncle would typically say, you know what, actually it's created by God. Okay, then a kid being a kid, right, is always curious. The kid would ask, okay, God created it, but then where was God before he created this? Now that puts the uncle in a quandary, right? And he says that, I don't know, maybe I will answer you later. Okay, the kid goes away, starts playing. In the evening, he comes back. Oh, uncle, I actually heard, there is something called as a heaven. And perhaps God was in heaven before he created this earth. Then the uncle seems relieved. Oh, yes, God was in heaven before he created this earth and this Srishti. But then, uncle, who created heaven? Then the uncle has to say it has to be God. God is the omniscient, omnipotent, then he created heaven. Oh, but then where was he before he created heaven? Then the kid answers, no, Prabhu, I heard that there is something called as hell also. Maybe he was in hell. But then where did he get the material to create the hell from? You know, Basically the point I'm trying to make is the usual understanding of God, as we typically hear it from all the corners, until we come to study what our Vedic parampara explains us, right? It is all leads to confusion, and it leads to infinite regression, which does not get resolved, right? Because if God was in heaven before he created this, then where was he before he created heaven? That question is not answerable. And where did he get material to create the heaven from? It leads to infinite regression. So we have to resolve this quandary, right? We have to resolve this dilemma that if God is the efficient cause, which we have established so far, and he created this creation, where did he get the material to create this creation from? Right? I will come to this story a little later. But is the question valid? So can we go and try to find an answer? So far, so good. Okay. So now the material out of which something is called, as just the technical term, which I forgot to introduce earlier, is called as upadana karana, material cause. We said that there is efficient cause and there is material cause, right? So material cause for a creation is called as upadana karana in Vedantic parlance. Now let me go. So we have to resolve this question, right? Where did Ishvara get the material to create this creation from? Very valid question. Now let us try to get some clues and see if we can find an answer. Okay, so I will try to play a video. I hope it plays. Just confirm that you are able to see it and hear it, right?
Yes.
So I want you to watch this video carefully and see if you can get any clue for the question that we have in our mind, okay? Okay, so let me go back to my. Okay, so any thoughts, any ideas?
The creator already had the material within itself.
Correct. Correct. So basically, Ishvara himself is the material cause of the creation. He did not get material from outside. He got it from himself. What does it mean? Ishvara became the creation. That's the point we are trying to make. And this is very beautifully explained in Mundaka Upanishad verse 1.1.7. Yathorninabhi srujate grunnate cha. And this is a verse which explains this particular anecdote, which I tried to show from a YouTube video. Now it is a very unique way of explaining and answering this very fundamental question about creation, which science and all the other theologies are trying to grapple with for millennia. Ishvara is the cause as well as the effect. What do I mean by he is the cause as well as the effect? It means that Ishvara is the efficient cause as well as he is the effect, means he is the material cause. Because when a potter prepares a clay pot, right? The weight of the pot is weight of the clay. The shape of the pot is shape of the clay. The volume of the pot is volume of the clay. So there is essentially nothing but clay. Pot is only a name and form. For example, I cannot tell you that you take the pot, I will take the clay, or I will keep the clay. Not possible. Wherever the pot goes, the clay comes with it. That way, Ishvara is the cause as well as the effect. Ishvara is the efficient cause as well as the material cause. So creation is not really a creation per se. It is a manifestation, prakatikaran of Ishvara. And Ishvara is not separate, abhinna from the creation. Now, that is where this particular example differs from what we are saying. In the particular video, right, that Kodi, right, he basically prepared the web, but he was separate from the web. He remained separate from the web. That's not how the creation is. Ishvara and the creation are intertwined with each other. You can't separate them. Ishvara is non-separate, abhinna from the creation. Okay, so there is a limitation of that example. It takes us one step closer towards understanding Ishvara, but it also has some limitation, but which will cover that limitation in some time by giving another anecdote.
So we are making an assumption here, right? My understanding is that the material coming from Ishvara, I mean, I know we'd use this spider as an example, but a spider obviously consumes something to create this. In the case of Ishvara, what you're saying is it doesn't consume anything, but it still
Yeah,
creates
so
from within. But this
yeah.
kind of becomes an assumption.
So you need to remember one thing. Every example or every anecdote or upama, right, always is limited. Okay, so don't take the example too literally. Example always only nudges us and takes us one step forward towards the truth, and then we have to drop the example. So don't take the example too literally.
Yeah,
Okay,
understood. Which is why I'm
yeah,
asking you that
yes.
this is an assumption that we're making that
It is
all
not an
material
assumption.
comes from Ishvara.
Yeah, so it is not exactly an assumption. It is how Ishvara is explained by Vedanta, and we cannot really defeat it. We cannot disprove it also. And when we understand everything as efficient as well as material cause as Ishvara, in fact, all the questions automatically get answered. Now, I may not be able to cover all of those questions in one session today because we have a limited time and a specific purpose. But I would like you to, I would encourage you to think over it more and see if a lot of contradictions that we have had so far in our mind actually get answered by this proposition. Okay, so thus Ishvara is the non-separate, efficient as well as material cause of the creation. In technical terms, it means it is abhinna nimitta upadana karana. We said that nimitta karana means efficient cause, upadana karana means material cause, and abhinna means it is not separate from it. Okay. Now we will extend this further. I will not leave you here. We will extend this further to see further understanding of this particular explanation given by Vedanta. Okay. Now, when we Upadana Karana is of two types, material cause. One is called as Parinami Upadana Karana and Vivarata Upadana Karana. Now, our everyday example, right? We prepare yogurt, dahi, from milk. When we prepare yogurt from milk, the milk is lost when the yogurt is ready. What I mean is that you cannot go back to milk from yogurt. The properties of yogurt are different from properties of milk. The yogurt is sour in taste, it is viscous in nature, whereas milk is fluid, it is sweeter in taste, and things like that. So milk loses all its properties. Milk loses itself, in fact, when it gets transformed into the effect, which is yogurt. That is when in such a phenomena, the milk is called as parinami material cause or a parinami upadana karana for yogurt. Okay. However, there is something called as a Vivarata Upadana Karana. Means where the cause remains in its shape and form, it doesn't change, yet it generates an effect. So Ishvara is the Vivarta Upadana Karana. Now, how is that possible? Obviously, you will ask a question, right? And I have to answer that. So let us look at it. Now, suppose we end this session in another 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, right? You have your dinner and you go to bed and you have a nice sleep. And after 10 minutes, you start dreaming. Okay, you go into a Sharjah stadium, let us say, and there is India-Pakistan match going on, and Virat Kohli is playing, and he hits a six, and you are having a gala time, you are enjoying your popcorn and coke, and everything is fine, right? Now, what is the reality of this cricket stadium, this dream, this Virat Kohli and everything? Where did it all come from? Any idea?
From the mind.
Correct. So you are lying there on your bed, right? And nice cozy bed, everything is fine. You are snoring, in fact, right? And but there is this dream. This dream gets projected out of your mind, and in that dream, you are watching this cricket match, right? You are there in the dream, and so is Virat Kohli, so is the popcorn, so is the halla gulla in the stadium. It's all real for you, right? It's all bloody real for you. It's only when you wake up you say that it was a dream. Would you agree? Right? So all this creation that is there in your dream, where did you get the material to create it from? From your mind. All the samskaras, all the vasanas, all the impressions stored in your mind called a chitta. Mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. These are the four aspects of mind. So it comes from your chitta. It gets projected on the screen of your mind. You enjoy it for 15 minutes and resolved back into your mind. A vague remembrance that in Sharjah Stadium yesterday, I saw Virat Kohli hitting a six. So while you are watching the dream, you are very much there, right? Without having undergone any change, lying on your 6-foot bed, nicely enjoying a sleep, you are creating something out of your own mind, enjoying it and resolving it back in your mind without undergoing any change. So you are the Vivarta, Nimitta, Upadana, Karana of your dream world. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So we have moved one step ahead of earlier example. Earlier example had some lacunae, but we have overcome them in this example. Right? So I hope it is clear now what is a Parinami Upadana Karana and a Vivarta Upadana Karana. So far, so good. I would like to take a small pause before we try to understand now nature of Ishvara.
Yeah, so far so good. The analogy of the dream. The only thing I where I see the difference between the creation of the Ishvara versus my own creation is that in Ishvara's creation there are multiple conscious beings, so to say. Whereas in my creation, I am the only conscious one. Say Virat, in my creation, I'm not sure if Virat Kohli experiences pain or pleasure, but I definitely, when I dream, maybe have my emotions high or low.
Actually, there is no difference. It's the microcosm of the macrocosm. For example, in your dream also, you meet people, you fall in love, you may get divorced, you may get engaged, you may get married, right? You will experience emotions. You will also react to the emotions expressed by other characters in your dream.
Correct, but that's what I'm trying to say, that it's me who experiences in my dream always, but
Correct.
in the Ishvara's creation, it
Mhm.
is you and me who experience, the parts experience the emotions in Ishvara's creation, whereas in my creation, the whole, which is me,
Mhm.
who is the
Mhm.
creator, I
Mhm.
go through the
Yeah,
experiences.
yeah. Actually, it is there is no difference. Okay, but I cannot 100% answer your question here in this session because there is few other things that will need to be covered.
Sure, sure, sure. I was
And
just trying to
that
point out the difference between these two
perfect. Well, actually,
creations
there is no
between, yeah.
difference. Actually, there is no difference. It's only the difference of scale. But otherwise, it is same in all other aspects.
Okay.
Okay. Now let us try and understand nature of Ishvara. Okay. Now, Ishvara, there are various other ways. There are various aspects of Ishvara that we will typically have to explain. But today we are going to limit ourselves because of the. We are going to talk only about Ishvara in isolation, right? I have not covered the Jiva and the creation part, Jiva and the Srishti part earlier, and there are various other things like levels of realities and Jiva Dasha and few other things. Since we do not have the benefit of those earlier topics, we are going to discuss only few aspects of Ishvara's nature today. Okay, hopefully maybe some other time we can talk about more systematic approach to understanding Ishvara. But I will try to do my best, whatever is possible within today's constraints. Okay, so Ishvara is basically Anadi Ananta. Okay, it means beginningless and endless. You know, basically we are not saying that Ishvara, the time and space are not absolute. Initially physics used to see that time and space were absolute, but later physics also realized that time and space are not absolute, they are relative. So in fact, the question itself is invalid when we say that, what was there before the creation? This question itself is invalid because time itself came along with the creation. Similarly, space itself is came along with the creation. It is part of the creation. So Ishvara, being the creator, is beyond time and beyond space. Because Ishvara existed even there was no creation. And we will talk about it in few minutes. Ishvara is Sarvajna, all knowledgeable. Now, this is a very, very deep principle. We say that, human beings are so knowledgeable. We have a background of 1,000 years of scientific evolution, so to say. I am able to sit here in Kothurud, Pune, and I am able to talk to some of you who are in Silicon Valley, for example, right? All through a piece of screen here in front of me. All of this is possible because of human knowledge. Okay. But if you really see that, can I really say that I have created everything all from ground up? The laws of nature, which I have wielded, the laws of physics, the laws of thermodynamics, the laws of chemistry, the materials, the solid state, and everything, all these existed before me. I have been granted a faculty of intellect, a mind, and my instruments of knowledge to be able to grasp what already exists as knowledge, already exist as laws. I am given the will to wield all of them together so that I can put it together for some good use of my life. Right? So my knowledge as a human being, even if human knowledge is so vast, we have been able to prepare nuclear plants, we have landed on moon, all of that is there. But still it is a minuscule when it comes to Sarvajnata. 50 years back, if our grandfathers were talking together and someone had told them that, in 2025, a person sitting in Bharat somewhere would be able to talk using a small device to someone at the other end of the planet. they would have laughed at him. Right? Similarly, we can extrapolate this to say that 100 years after today, we may laugh at what we are going, what evolution we have today. Right? So basically, we cannot claim to be Sarvajna. We as individuals, no matter how much progress we make, always remain Alpajna. Okay? Ishvara knows everything about everything possible. Ishvara is Sarva Shaktiman, all powerful. When I say all powerful, all the resources of the universe are nothing but Ishvara's resources. I only put them together for my own benefit. Okay? Though I make claims that they belong to me, nothing really belongs to me. You know, हिंदीमध्ये आपल्याकडे म्हणतात की सब भूमी गोपाल की. So basically, Ishvara is Sarva Shaktiman. It is Sarva Sakshi, witness to all. So it is, creation is always switched on, right? It is always living. Anything and everything that is happening in the universe is known to Ishvara at any given point in time. Ishvara is Sarva Vyapi. What does Sarva Vyapi means? Sarva Vyapi means there is no place where Ishvara is not. In fact, space itself is within Ishvara because it is within creation and creation is within Ishvara. Ishvara is Nirakara, formless, and that's why it can manifest in any form. This is a very important principle to understand. We say that water is formless. Okay? Water is odorless. Water is tasteless. What it means that water has the power to take any shape, any form, any taste, any odor. Okay? It is tremendous power. So Ishvara, being Nirakara, appears as the multitude of forms and multitude of shapes within this universe. At the same time, holds his Nirakaratva with itself. And it is Mayapati, master of Maya. Now, what is Maya? For the sake of today's session, just to explain it in as a small concept, Maya is the creative power of Ishvara. Now, suppose some of you are in IT, right? And suppose someone calls himself a C++ programmer, right? Now, C++ programming is a creative power of that person. It is only when that person decides to wield it, decides to use it, he is able to use it to produce something, which is called as a software artifact. Right? So the power by itself doesn't produce anything. So the person is the Mayapati, is the holder or the manager or the owner of that power. That way, Ishvara is the owner or Pati here, master of Maya. And here Maya is the creative power of Ishvara. By itself, Maya is inert. It cannot do something on its own. It is only in the presence of Ishvara that Maya can produce this world. Now, there are various other aspects of Maya which we cannot talk today because there are some other concepts that we should have had to go through again for some other time. So far, so good? Any question here? Okay, I take it as your permission to move ahead. Now, what is the relationship between Ishvara and creation? So, Ishvara is the conscious principle behind the entire creation. Okay, as we have seen, it is the efficient cause as well as the material cause. So, it has the knowledge, it has the skills, it has the will, and using its creative power that we call as Maya. It is also called as Prakriti by, you may have heard this word, Prakriti. So, Prakriti and Maya are basically sort of synonymous. Ishvara creates the world. So, Ishvara is Srishtikarta, Sthitikarta, and Layakarta of the creation. Now we have to understand these three principles. Creator means something which gets manifested, who manifests something, right? Sustainer is Sthiti Karta and dissolver is Laya Karta. Now everything in the universe, this mouse was not here 2 years back. It was produced by its creator 2 years back in some company. It is going to be with me for a few years, and after a while it will go back to its material. Okay. Every tree, every mountain, every river, every rock, you take anything and everything that you see, objectify, goes through three stages. It was not there, it manifests, that means it is created, it is sustained for a while, and it is dissolved back into its original form. Creation, sustenance, dissolution are the three basic functions of the Ishvara. And everything in the universe at any given point in time is moving from creation to sustenance to dissolution, creation to sustenance to dissolution, sort of a sinusoidal wave. Anything, even if this mouse, though it appears to be not changing, internally it is changing. Himalaya, which is going to be here for thousands of years, but internally it is changing. There was a time where there was no Himalaya. There will be a time where there perhaps won't be Himalaya. The same applies to human body. The same applies to human mind, which is part of the creation. And Ishvara is the conscious principle. He is the Srishtikarta, Sthitikarta, and Layakarta. And we have three unique names for these three functions of Ishvara called Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha. So it is the same Ishvara. When looked at from the perspective of or a function of creation, we call him Brahma. The same Ishvara from the perspective of sustenance, we call him Vishnu. And the same Ishvara from the perspective of or a function of resolution, we call him Shiva or Mahesha. So essentially there are not three separate entities. It is Ishvara who is Brahma from the perspective of creative aspect. From the sustaining aspect, Ishvara is called as Vishnu, and from the resolution aspect, Ishvara is called as Mahesha. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha. Right? So creation manifests from Maya or Prakriti simply due to the presence of Ishvara. Now, how is this possible? Actually, we can look at a real life example. We say that we studied in biology in school that it is in the presence of sunlight all the trees prepare their food. There is in Marathi, I learned in vernacular language. So there was a term called Prakasha Sansleshan, photosynthesis, I think, if I'm correct, right? Whatever it is called. So basically, it is not that sun creates the food, but in the presence of sun, the trees create their food. So if you ask sun, hey, why did you create so much food for all the trees? He will say, hey, I didn't do anything. In my presence, these actions take place. So that is how the relationship. With the presence of Ishvara, Maya creates or Maya manifests the creation. It is sustained for a while and it goes back into an unmanifest form. It again comes back. It is sustained for a while. It again goes back. So one cycle of this creation, sustenance, and dissolution, it's called as a kalpa. You may have heard this term. A kalpa has many yugas and yuga has many years and things like that. Let us not go there for today, but we understand the point, right? So Maya is the power of Ishvara and is not separate from Ishvara. It cannot operate on its own. So Ishvara is the origin and resolution place for the entire creation. So in fact, entire creation is in Ishvara, including we, the individuals, our body, mind, sense complex, and everything is part of the creation. Now, Ishvara is interestingly not bound or affected by the creation. This is an interesting point. Remember the dream analogy we talked about some time back? So now, in your dream, for example, are you getting some noise from my side? Or you're okay?
No,
There is
no
some
noise.
noise in the background. Good. So that means my headphone is doing a nice job. Okay. So in your dream, right? Suppose you are traveling in a train in Mumbai from Bandra to Churchgate, whatever, right? And you have just had your salary back in the old days, right? All your cash is in your wallet. Wallet is in your pocket, and those of you who lived in Mumbai would know what I mean. There is an entity called as pickpocketer. He would go. Suppose he picked up your pocket in your dream. All your hard-earned salary is lost, and then you are shocked to your disbelief when you get on the station and you wake up from the dream. And suppose you start searching, hey, where did I lose my money? Let me go and catch hold of that pickpocketer. It's useless, right? Why? Because you here in this limited example, you, the Ishvara of this dream, are not affected by what happened in the dream. You are intact, wholesome. Right? That's what I mean by Ishvara is not bound or affected by the creation, what happens in the creation. Now, creation is the manifestation of Ishvara and is not separate from Ishvara. We've seen that. So, that brings us towards the conclusion for today's topic, that creation is apparent, just like our dream is apparent. But while the dream is on, we think it is real. It's all real. So creation is apparent. There is only really Ishvara acting through, performing as a Leela in the creation. That's what it means to understand Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam means. Now let us put an understanding to this statement. Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. We may have heard, a lot of people talking about, there is only one God, or sometimes people fight about, there is Shiva is powerful, Vishnu is powerful, or Devi is powerful, and things like that. There are stories woven around this, around such topics, etc. And sometimes people say that there is only one God, not many gods. He appears as many gods and things like that. Actually, you know what Ishavasya Idam Sarvam means? It's not that there is only one Ishvara or there is only one God in local language. There is only God. There is only Ishvara, nothing else. Everything else is an appearance in Ishvara. That's what it means by this statement, Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. So I think I will take a pause here. It's almost 10 p.m. So please let me know if this has resonated with you so far and if it makes sense to you. Actually, this is a stepping stone towards understanding the Advaita part of it, which we obviously cannot do due to time limitation, and we haven't covered some other basics. But when we understand what Advaita means, then actually it sort of sparkles in our head, as if everything fits together and is as the puzzle is resolved, and that's really a moment of reckoning, so to say. But again, today we are limited by time, so we will restrict ourselves to whatever we have talked so far. So any questions, any suggestions, feel free to please raise.
I'll be the first one to go.
Sure.
This was
Please.
really, really good. Very helpful.
Do you mind speaking
I
little loudly, please?
I
And
will
if you can
try.
say your
Can you
name.
hear me? This
Yes.
is Vaidehi.
Vaidehi, hi.
Very good session.
Thank
Initially,
you.
genuinely, I felt that it was. I'm a rather impatient person, so I was getting impatient for you to get to the point. But as the tempo built and how you logically connected one after the other, and how it ended, it was very, very beautifully done. And I look forward to more conversations from your side on this,
Thank you very
and
much.
understanding Advaita more.
Sure. Anyone else has any questions,
Mandar, I
suggestions?
just
Please
have
feel
one
free.
small suggestion.
Who is speaking,
Uh,
please? Because I don't
my
see
name is
everyone.
Dilip. Dilip Thosar.
Dilip, hi Dilip.
Yeah, hi. Just one very small suggestion. I really wish a learned person like you would not say Ishvara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just a small request. Ishwar is great.
sure. Anyone else has anything else, or we are good? Okay,
So
I
guys,
guess I think we can conclude
no,
today.
Mandar.
Anant, over to you.
Yeah. Thing is, I really want to thank you in the sense that, see, guys, I mean, like we introduced in the beginning that in the overview to what today is going to be, see this importance of framework, right? See, we are trying to grapple with something called reality. We are trying to grapple with something called as cosmicity, for which we need a framework. And see the work of these rishis. In this particular case, the Badarayana Rishi. See the creation of this framework. He has created single-handedly the Vedanta, basically. See the prowess of him. What Mandara has presented right now, because of time limitations, probably 0.001% of the entire framework. But the might of these rishis have created an entire detailed, hyper-fine framework to understand the cosmicity. I mean, by cosmicity, also, it means micro as well as macro cosmicity, both cos. But understand the power of a framework. Without the help of a very systematic framework, you cannot understand reality. This is the first thing. People try to make oversimplify the cosmos and try to say that can we understand it with a few 5, 6, 7 complex mathematical or analytical functions or equations. It cannot be, because it does not involve the finer elements of the existence, which are beyond what he called the sthula, the gross, and those are the mind, and then the emotions, then the intellect, and then there is further one, the chitta, and then the other one, deeper ones, basically the nadis and stuff like the prana, what they call it. So these things are not even covered. We just saw in general what is gross and subtle, but see the importance of framework. I mean, what we want, that is why I like the introduction that Mandar made, that please do not have a kind of a bias when you listen to any framework that is being presented. We have the same thing in QAW. We say that first listen to the framework, let us understand it, because without a framework you cannot grapple with something as big as the cosmos, infra or whatever, extra. So it cannot be. So that is why understanding of the framework, and he did a very nice job giving us the nuts and bolts, a very simple idea of what is the Advaita Vedanta framework. Mind you, this is not the entire Vedanta framework. This is just the Advaita, and he said that he could not explain Advaita. It was Advaita all the way. What does it mean that the Ishvara is the creator and the creation? That itself, the meaning itself is the Advaita, basically. So
So what
it
I
is
mean is that the
yeah.
Parabrahma part, has to be established by some further
Explain. Yes,
logical
yes.
points. Yeah,
Yeah, agreed. I mean, like what I'm saying is the superfine details will always be there. But what
sure.
I'm saying is in daily living and rational analysis, basically a non-dual approach is very much necessary. Observations of the natural life as well as the human life, I mean the within and without, will automatically bring to you that this fact that without a non-dual approach, no progress can be made. So that is why they say that the Advaita Vedanta is perhaps the most helpful in present times of rational analysis or scientific what is it called, the scientific fervor or scientific demeanor of people, where it can come to help come to your help the most, because see, I mean, like the science is an objective analysis always. It doesn't even involve the subject. So anyway, we talked about it in QAW many times, but essentially the non-duality is important. He presented the framework. He presented how, I mean, see, the thing is, there are always postulates and hypotheses in every framework. But like we said, unless we and until we go to the first standard, we cannot progress to the second and still to the 10th. We start with some assumptions. We go to the second, and then we say that, hey, it was not an assumption. It was always there. For the time being, we had to assume. So similarly with any framework, like what he said, what Mandar said, like let us postulate that this creation, so therefore there must be a creator. Let us postulate it for the moment. Later, when you experience it, you'll naturally feel that yes, it has to be like that. So that is how life is. I mean, you have to go with some assumptions, progress with those assumptions, and then realize. These realizations are all. So that is why in the very beginning we said these are all experimental labs. There are 6 experimental labs for the purpose of darshan. So never let this go out of our sight. See, we are in a very modern setting right now. What we are doing is not a very it's a trivial thing. No, we are talking of something called darshan. This is out of the ken of the modern, even scientific, most technologically advanced world. We are trying to talk about darshan today, and it is one framework which Mandar presented very beautifully. Very what should I say? Uh, in ways that even a novice could digest. This is what is needed today. Something where all of us can even make a start in some framework. Okay, then you pick up bits and pieces slowly and get the nuts and bolts and then see the big framework. So I thank Mandar very much for the approach that he took, the simplicity that he adopted, the genuine humility that he maintained throughout, which is his nature, and made sure that all of us were in step. So I will say that those who are interested in further, let's say, details about just this part of darshan, which is the Vedanta darshan, and then specifically the Advaita Vedanta darshan, they are very much, welcome to approach Mandar directly. We can share his personal contacts for this particular reason, and they can go ahead with his further sessions by all means. So with this, I think we come to close to today's session. Thank you, Mandar, very much for sparing the time. All of us, you guys are professionals serving at great responsible positions and yet taking out the time, valuable time out of your weekends and possibly your Friday evening. And those in India, especially, it is late evening today, but they took out the time. Those in the western parts, they have just begun their weekend and they still put in 90 minutes. So thank you so much. There are also people outside of our forum, the people who came most out of great interest. So I thank even them. And we'll continue with this invited talk series with, more of such interesting aspects of our brilliant civilization. And it is, I mean, at the end of every such session, I shall always bring out the greatness of this civilizational existence. It is because of this that we are able to have such grand sessions like this today. So yes, thanks to all of us. Thanks to Mandar. Thanks to the viewers.
Thank you very
and
much.
have a great day. Have a great night. Thank you so
Happy
much.
Diwali
Bye-bye.
to all of you.
Thank you.
Yes. Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.